when my son was in kindergarten in Chico, I brought his whole kindergarten class to my high school lab for a field trip. And my high school kids were mentors, and they taught the kindergarten kids how to make age-appropriate websites with a real kind of basic software program that was really fun, where the kids can put up, fake pictures and decorate themselves and put their hair and eye color, and they could decorate their room and such. So kids like using technology. My daughter's in kindergarten right now, and she loves to go on the computer. She can, as a kindergartner, she can at home log into her own profile, and she can access different programs on her own with no help, and she can open up the internet browser, and we lock down just the sites she can go to, but she knows how to get to the various sites that have children's things like Noggin and Nick Jr. and Disney, and she can open up paint applications. So I know that technology is good to introduce at a young age because it gets them very comfortable. Sometimes we get kids in high school that are a little less fortunate and they don't have access to computers at home, and so it's a little more intimidating. I think the older you get, the less experience you have on a computer, it becomes more and more intimidating because everybody else does have access. So I think just the earlier the better. As far as teaching skills, I don't really know how young you could kind of start aiming that target at, but as far as getting kids comfortable with technology and using it to do basic things like look up information for a report or do a simplified PowerPoint for a unit of study in class, I think are easy ways to get kids used to it. Even maybe introducing the keyboard and showing them the proper use of the hands and fingers for the right keys might be a good idea in the elementary school level.
Well, I graduated in 1993 from Colby College in Waterville, Maine, and that was just on the cusp of being able to use some of the new technologies that we all now take for granted. So we had email, but the only people who I could email were my professors or other students within my school. I couldn't email home. I couldn't email a friend I had met somewhere. It was all just intercollegiate, so to speak. So that was as broad as it had gotten when it comes to some of the technologies you all understand. The internet, as we experience it now, didn't exist, so we couldn't use it as a research tool. It was still pre-Windows 95, so there was no hopping online and using a browser-based interface. So we basically used computers as word processors. We would type up our papers on them and then print them that way and use spell checks and things, but it wasn't like you could use it like you could now. So a research of a paper was way different than you guys might be researching a paper now. We used to go to the library and pull out the card catalog and literally dig through looking for our topic, and then go using the Dewey Decimal System, find that section of the library, and there'd be a wall of books that was relevant to your topics, and you'd find 4 or 5 books that you thought were interesting. You'd literally sit on the floor, start flipping through the books to see if they were relevant enough to use for your research. If they weren't, you knew that you had your library of information right there. So you'd go dig through some more books. When you found 5 or 7 that you thought were relevant, then you'd take them back to a table and you'd literally pour through them and handwrite notes about everything that you found so that you could go apply it to your paper instead of, you can copy and paste from the internet now. We used to have to write all that stuff by hand and research it literally in a physical book.
I actually use some Flix. I'm using Flix demos in time, money, regrouping, adding, subtracting. There's a phonics program, Superphonics, where kids that are really low readers can work, and it tracks all their progress. There's another program for really at-risk readers called Aerobics, which is a very costly program, but kids are being trained with sounds, sequence, and auditory memory. So that's a really helpful program. Only a few kids in the school can be on it at a time. Some of my kids are using the Student Writing Center to publish work, and we have the copy machine in the teacher's room hooked up so the kids can even send their work to be printed.
We believe the programs and skills that we teach in our department, the business department at PV, are more than just school skills. They're life skills. Everybody knows now that technology is going to be ingrained in pretty much anything you choose to do in your life. So for students to have a foundation of skills that they can take with them to whatever the next step is, whether that's straight into the workforce, into the military, into higher education, they're going to need that foundation. And And so we try to give them access to computers and technology, which we know is always changing, and kind of keep them up to date with those skills so that they can be successful later on in their lives. A lot of parents and adults assume that most young students have all these skills in today's day and age because they're so ingrained in technology and they're so good with computers, but we actually find out that although students are very comfortable with computers, they lack a lot of the real skills that you would be able to use in the real world to get you to the next level, I guess.
Would be to get them used to recognizing that the tools we have now for research on any question that they might have, whether it's why is the sky blue, or how to spell something, or what is a definition of something, that they can get these kinds of answers in their hand. They don't have to rely on waiting for an adult to answer certain questions or research them at the computer lab. They can use tools such as phones and browser-based handhelds to be able to find these kinds of answers. And other things as well would be just like we're communicating now through video, it's so immersed in their lives that we can experience a person live through a camera or a quick video like you can find on YouTube, like connecting with their grandmother or connecting with another friend or something like that. It's going to be so easy through their television. Just getting them used to realizing that these things are available is going to get them to be more comfortable using the tools that are going to be there for convenience or for connections and for communications and relationships, which I think is some of the beauty of technology, is connecting people together.
Some of the big ones have been the fact that we do have limitations in kids' reading ability and literacy ability, not just in reading, but technology. One of the disheartening things is, one, you're trying to keep it with technology, which virtually expires 6 months after you purchase it. So to have 2007, by the time the school integrates it, gets it all in the network and all this, Office has moved on. We're running 2003 right now with a book that is from 1998. So, we're a little behind as far as the textbook that goes along with the software. The basics are still the same, so they are getting the basics, they are getting the literacy they need from what we have, but the budget, we've been passed over 8 years in a row for textbooks and software. The school board just approved the elimination of computer competencies without a backup plan for technology. So any student that goes through Chico Unified, K through 12, has the option of not taking a computer class. They never have to touch a computer by their standards.
I think that when kids can handle a hard copy book with real text on it, then they are able to interact with it a little bit more easier in a real hands-on way. I think that it can be difficult to have text on, let's say, the overhead or on the board of any sort, PowerPoint or whatever. It can be hard for the kids to follow along and to really feel that they're connected with the text, and I've seen that as a challenge, just keeping them engaged. It can be hard because they don't have something close to them that they can kind of manipulate and handle. So I would say that's the biggest challenge with literacy particularly.
Well, there's 3 kids assigned to a computer, so of course it'd be great if everybody had, 1 per computer, but also there's space. Okay, so these are not probably at the right height or anything, but the kids seem to be able to use it. We've adjusted the best we can, but space is an issue, and space here. The number of programs that we do not have that many programs, but I have downloaded some things from the internet and bookmarked them for the kids to use. So we try to find things that work similar to what we really need. And each of the computers have a filter, and what we have to do is press in a long code username and a password. So every time they go to a new website, I have to press this code in for each one. And if every kid is using a computer, a lot of times I'm just going from computer to computer entering the code for them to search for whatever they need. So that's the biggest one.